take a listen. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, and tell yourself over and over again that you love yourself. But if you don't understand this one thing, the love you seek will always remain out of reach. Today, I'm not here to give you theory. Instead, I'm here to give you the key, something no one has ever told you before, truth, that car Jung discovered that will forever change the way you relate to yourself and others. Are you ready to discover it? If you're watching this, it's because something inside of you already knows that there's more. It's about taking those concepts and applying them in a way that changes your life. By the end of this video, you won't just have a deeper understanding of why you've struggled to feel loved, but you'll leave with a clear and useful plan to change your relationship with yourself and, consequently, with others. Your interactions are not arbitrary. This is about action, not theory. Consider the last person who made you feel something intense, whether it was love or frustration. That person is more than just a passing figure in your life. They are a mirror, revealing something deeply buried within you. Perhaps you find yourself drawn to people who make you feel insecure. Or perhaps you are constantly frustrated by people who exhibit traits that you reject in yourself. Today, you will learn how to use that mirror to uncover the parts of yourself that are crying out for attention and healing, because, until you do, you will continue looking for love in all the wrong places, for all the wrong places. What this individual is revealing to me about myself is the true question, not why they act in this manner. This idea, known as the relational mirror, is much more complex than it first seems. When someone makes you feel strongly, you're experiencing a projection of your own shadow. Examine the trends in your relationships. Do you frequently find yourself drawn to people who share your traits, or do you consistently avoid particular kinds of people? When you are attracted to someone, ask yourself what qualities you admire about them. Could it be that these are qualities you haven't fully developed or expressed in yourself? Perhaps you admire their spontaneity and freedom because you've lived a life that feels too structured and controlled. Similarly, when someone irritates you, ask yourself, what exactly bothers me about them? Could it be that I possess that same trait but have denied or repressed it in myself? Perhaps arrogance in others triggers you because you are ashamed to admit that you struggle with your own superiority complex. This type of self-awareness is transformative, but it requires brutal honesty. True healing begins when you are willing to see the aspects of yourself that you have kept hidden, even from yourself. The most challenging relationships in your life are frequently your best teachers. That person who annoys you all the time may hold the secret to revealing aspects of yourself that require attention. It is no coincidence that certain people come into your life. They are karmic messengers guiding you towards your own integration. Keep in mind that, just as others reflect parts of you, you also act as a mirror for them. When you realize this, you start to develop compassion and responsibility in your interactions. You start to realize that when someone reacts negatively towards you, they aren't necessarily responding to you. Rather, they are responding to the reflection of themselves that they see in you. Instead of reacting defensively, you can respond with understanding. The goal of this work isn't just to identify patterns, it's to transform them. Once you identify the aspect of yourself that is being reflected in a challenging relationship, you can start to heal that part. As you consciously integrate those rejected or underdeveloped aspects of yourself, your relationships will start to change naturally and effortlessly. This integration process doesn't happen overnight, so don't expect immediate results. Observe your emotional responses as though you were a scientist researching an intriguing topic out of pure interest, and without passing judgment. Over time, you'll discover that the people who used to make you feel strongly will no longer have the same influence over your emotions. You will start to attract people who reflect the healed whole version of yourself rather than those who reflect your wounds. You will stop looking for in others what you lack in yourself and instead build relationships based on shared wholeness rather than emotional dependency. The healthier and more balanced relationships you seek will start to emerge. The ultimate truth is that true love can only be found after this journey of self-discovery. When you love from a place of wholeness rather than lack, your relationships become places for mutual growth rather than sources of emotional neediness. You are complete within yourself and no longer need someone else to fill your void. Your relationships are being harmed by the same aspect of yourself that you reject. Until you learn to integrate your shadow, you will continue projecting your insecurities onto other people. For instance, if you find arrogance in others bothersome, it's likely that a part of you fears being seen as arrogant. Or if you are drawn to people who make you feel small, it's because deep down a part of you doesn't feel big enough. You cannot fully love if you don't accept all of who you are. Imagine the things you don't like about yourself, the things you try to hide. Your shadow, not to become perfect, but to become whole, because only when you accept everything that you are can you love and be loved authentically. Your shadow isn't just the negative aspects of yourself, it also includes your unrecognized gifts and talents. When you reject parts of yourself, you fragment your being, creating an invisible barrier that prevents the deep connection you long for. But when you embrace all that you are, you stop seeking love as something external, you become love, and from that place, true connection becomes inevitable. This fragmentation leads us to seek in others what we cannot accept in ourselves every time. You harshly judge someone, you are facing a mirror. That quality that irritates you so much in another person is merely a reflection of something within you that remains unacknowledged. Pay close attention to your most intense reactions within them. You will find the most valuable clues about yourself. Perhaps you despise vulnerability in others because you fear your own fragility, or maybe you criticize excessive ambition because you have not allowed yourself to recognize your own desires. For success and recognition, relationship sabotage occurs subtly but persistently. Perhaps you fear abandonment and push people away before they have a chance to leave you. Or perhaps you fear being controlled and resist any suggestion from your partner, even when it is reasonable. These patterns are not random. Rather, they are defense mechanisms of your unintegrated shadow integrating. Your shadow also shows up in your romantic attraction to people who freely express what we have repressed. If you find yourself irresistibly drawn to dominant personalities, ask yourself if there is a part of you that longs to express more power and authority. The first step in facing your shadow is to be willing to recognize it without passing judgment on yourself. If you have a strong dislike for someone, ask yourself, where does this exist within me? Not to place the blame on yourself, but to gain a deeper understanding of yourself. Expressing suppressed parts of oneself in secure settings is another aspect of integration. Over time, these rejected parts will change from hidden sabos into sources of strength. One effective exercise is to write a letter to your shadow acknowledging its existence. If you have suppressed your creativity, find places where you can freely express it. If you have denied your need for connection, allow yourself to be vulnerable with trusted people. The lovely paradox is that by accepting your flaws and imperfections, you become more authentic, and it is this authenticity that opens the doors to real connections. Express gratitude for its attempts to protect you and share your intention to integrate it with compassion. This internal dialogue can be the start of a profound reconciliation with yourself. When two individuals arrive whole, with both light and shadow integrated, the deepest and most satisfying partnerships form. You no longer need a partner to fill the gaps in your life. Instead, you arrive as a whole person. Project your fears and insecurities onto other people because you have accepted them as a natural part of who you are. Relationships are about growth, not just happiness. In this session, you will learn to view love as a journey of self-discovery rather than as a destination. Every conflict, action, and disappointment is a chance to better understand yourself. Until you comprehend this, you will keep making the same errors. For instance, relationships are life's most intense classroom, the clearest mirror of our inner world. Every person who enters your life brings with them a specific lesson, and until you learn that lesson, the pattern will repeat itself. If you consistently find yourself in relationships where you feel abandoned, it's because there is an abandonment wound that needs to be healed. If you are constantly looking for people who make you feel secure, it's because there is a part of you that does not feel safe. Here, you will learn how to use love as a tool for growth rather than as a goal that frustrates you. The same relational patterns are not accidental, even when the faces may vary. Examining your love past will reveal recurrent elements that link seemingly disparate events. Perhaps you constantly attract people that need to be saved, or you continually wind up with emotionally detached people. These patterns are invitations for introspection and are signs of interior wounds that require attention. According to theory, our earliest relationships create patterns that recur in adulthood. If you learned as a child that love is inconsistent, you will unconsciously look for inconsistency in your adult relationships because it feels familiar, even if it is painful. Recognizing these patterns is the first step towards changing them. The true goal of romantic love is not to make you happy, though happiness can be a beautiful side effect. Rather, it is to reveal aspects of yourself that would otherwise remain hidden. Intimacy is where your deepest fears, defense mechanisms, and unexpressed desires are revealed. Love is not just about finding the right person. It's about becoming the person who can love deeply, fearlessly, and consciously. Perhaps your excessive annoyance at a small remark betrays a deep-seated insecurity. Or perhaps your incessant need for control is just a cover for a serious fear of being abandoned. Though frequently unsettling, these realizations are treasures. For anyone looking to develop themselves, attractions can also be very effective teachers, because they help you discover parts of yourself that you haven't fully embraced. For example, if you find yourself enthralled with someone else's creativity, it might be an indication that you have an artist inside of you just waiting to be released. Your strongest desires are not coincidental. Rather, they are maps that point you in the direction of untapped potential heartbreak, which, although painful, offers a remarkable chance for personal development. When a relationship ends, you have two options. Either you turn inward and ask yourself, what can I learn from this, or you blame the other person and keep repeating the same patterns. The difference between these two answers determines whether you grow bitter or wiser from the experience. Mature love looks for mutual growth rather than perfection in a mate. When you embrace love as a tool for personal growth, you become more deeply and sustainably happy. You no longer rely on perfect circumstances or an ideal partner to feel fulfilled. Instead, you find satisfaction in the process of evolving and knowing yourself more intimately through the mirror that your partner provides. The shift begins when you stop saying things like, I always end up with the same kind of partner, and instead start asking yourself, why do I keep choosing this kind of partner? This shift in perspective restores your power. You are no longer a victim of fate or other people's actions. You regain control over your own relationship experiences. Adopting love as a means of personal development demands bravery. You must be prepared to face hard realities, challenge strongly held convictions, and let go of identities that no longer serve you, but the benefits are enormous. More genuine connections, greater awareness of oneself, and the capacity to love without need and with freedom. Why are you in the same types of relationships all the time? Your subconscious contains the solution in the patterns you repeatedly repeat. Are not just coincidences. They are signs that something inside of you needs to be healed. For example, if you are drawn to people who hurt you a lot, it's probably because you have an unresolved emotional wound that needs attention. If you constantly look to your partners for approval, it might be because something inside of you feels unworthy or invisible. Today, you will learn how to recognize these patterns and break the cycle so that you can make healthier, more conscious connections, because until you do, you will keep drawing relationships that leave you feeling unfulfilled. Toxic relationship. Patterns are like invisible cycles that repeat mathematically in your life. You may switch partners, but the underlying dynamic stays the same. This phenomena is caused by deeply ingrained subconscious programming that affects your decisions, without you even being aware of it. It is neither a curse nor bad luck. The famous saying, "What is familiar feels safe," explains why we unconsciously repeat unhealthy relationship patterns. These subconscious patterns are often formed in childhood when you first learnt what love meant and how relationships worked. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditional upon performance, you may now find yourself constantly seeking approval in your adult relationships. If affection in the past was frequently accompanied by criticism, you may feel strangely comfortable in relationships where conflict is present. Because of the way your brain is programmed to seek for familiarity, even when it is painful, many people end toxic relationships only to end up in eerily similar ones. The first step in developing self-awareness means breaking these patterns. Examine the motifs that recur in your relationship history as though you were watching a movie. Do you consistently feel abandoned? Are you attracted to emotionally unavailable people? Do you often lose your identity in relationships? These recurring themes are not coincidental. They are every poisonous pattern has a limiting belief at its core that is indicated by clues pointing to particular emotional wounds. If you always find yourself in relationships where you feel controlled, you may unconsciously think that you are incapable of managing your own life. These beliefs act like invisible magnets, drawing experiences that support them. If you are drawn to people who betray you, it is likely that you harbor deep-seated beliefs that you do not deserve loyalty. According to neuroscience, these patterns are not only psychological, they are also neurological, as you have established strong neural connections via repetition. It takes ongoing awareness and the conscious production of novel situations that defy your ingrained patterns to disrupt these circuits. Finding your emotional triggers, those particular circumstances that cause exaggerated reactions, is a potent practice. Perhaps a minor remark about your appearance sets off a profound uneasiness, or perhaps a slight delay from your partner causes an acute dread of abandonment. Your core wounds are seen through these triggers. When you accept responsibility for your patterns, not by placing blame on yourself, but by admitting your part in their development and upkeep, healing begins. Cycles. You will continue to be stuck in a cycle of repetition as long as you believe that you are a victim of your circumstances or those of others. You can only change when you take responsibility for your actions. Re-establishing a connection with your body is necessary to change patterns. Relational addictions function similarly to other addictions in that obsessive behaviors are preceded by somatic signals. Recognize the sensation of tremendous exhilaration and a false sense of security that comes with being attracted to toxins. A familiarity that is comforting. This realization allows you to make a deliberate decision rather than responding without thinking. If you are aware that you often lose your individuality in relationships, a crucial first step is to establish clear boundaries with both yourself and other people. If you are attracted to persons who exhibit narcissistic qualities, establish routines that help you stay connected to yourself. Clearly state the behaviors you will not allow. Boundaries are actions of self-love that break self-defeating routines. If you have always been driven to drama and intensity, real transformation occurs when you dare to choose the new, even if it feels unpleasant at first. A steady and peaceful partnership. This soreness may appear dull at first, but it's typical. You are developing new neural pathways and new ways of feeling connected. But keep in mind that breaking patterns is a continual process that involves periods of regression. The ultimate goal is not relational perfection, but rather the awareness that allows you to choose freely when you are no longer at the mercy of unconscious programming. You can create relationships that reflect who you are now, not the wounds of your past. And you can love not from lack or compulsion, but from wholeness and freedom. Every time you recognize the pattern and make a different choice, you strengthen your new path. Neuroplasticity is on your side. Unconditionally love stops being something you seek and becomes something you are. This is the shift that changes everything, because until you understand this, you will keep searching outside for what can only be found within. Love is not something you give or receive, it is something you are, and when you live from that place, your relationship stop being a source of suffering and become an expression of who you are, because love is not a destination, it is a journey. We have been raised under the premise that love is something external, a force that finds us. If we are lucky enough, this romantic narrative, while beautiful, places us in a position of passivity and dependence. We wait to be chosen, to be seen, to be loved, but this perspective reverses the true nature of love. Authentic love emerges from within you, like a spring, not a something you must extract from another person. When you depend on external sources to experience love, you create a pattern of perpetual lack. Like a vessel with holes, you will never be able to fill yourself. Love that comes from outside is always temporary, conditional, and limited by another human's capacity. The paradigm shift occurs when you realize that you are the main source of your love experiences, and that you don't require approval or credentials to love yourself. Self-love is your birthright and your natural state. When you break down the walls you have put in place to prevent yourself from loving yourself, it is not a gift you receive for being good enough. As you develop this loving relationship with yourself, your external relationships change. You no longer approach people from a place of need or emptiness, but from wholeness. And you no longer look for what you lack in others, but instead generously offer what you already have in abundance. Love becomes revolutionary in a world that has taught you to value yourself based on your productivity, appearance, or accomplishments. It means honoring yourself when you fail just as much as when you succeed. It means speaking to yourself with the same compassion you would offer a dear friend. The lovely irony is that once you pause when you are in dire need of love, you become more capable of experiencing it deeply, and your relationships become places of growth rather than completion. You don't look for someone to make you happy. Instead, you share the happiness you have already created. You don't expect someone else to heal your wounds, even though you may grow alongside them. You don't rely on someone else to make you feel valuable, even though you celebrate the value they see in you. This changes the nature of your attraction, because when you operate from wholeness, you attract people who reflect your integrity and who resonate with your frequency of self-love. Self-love is not the same as narcissism. On the contrary, narcissism results from deep insecurity and an inner emptiness that need continual affirmation. Realizing and respecting your own humanity is the foundation of real self-love, which frees you from projecting your unfulfilled needs onto other people and enables you to view them with more clarity and compassion. When challenging emotions come up, such as fear, sadness, anger, or shame, instead of condemning or denying them, embrace them as a part of your humanity rather than as defects that need to be eliminated. This radical acceptance alters your relationship with your internal experience and, consequently, with everything outside of it. Keep in mind that love is a daily practice rather than a destination. There will be days when loving yourself feels more difficult and days when old voices of self sear. The greatest paradox is that when you stop looking for love as something you lack, you find it has always been there, like a fish swimming in the ocean, desperately seeking it. You have been surrounded by love all along. Your task is not to find it, but to recognize it and allow it to express itself naturally towards everything around you, first towards yourself. Every moment of awareness is an opportunity to choose love again, and every time you make amends with yourself after a moment of disconnection, you strengthen your capacity for authentic love. Love is not something you do, it is who you are, and when you live from that truth, every relationship, every encounter, and every moment becomes an expression of that loving essence that is your deepest nature. Love is not a reward for being enough. Rather, it is a state that arises when you fully accept yourself with all of your light and dark sides. The key is that once you realize this, love ceases to be a search and becomes an expression of who you are. If this message resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you want to learn more about transforming your life from within, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I appreciate you joining me on this adventure, and I hope to see you in the next video until we meet again. Keep in mind that love is something you develop, not something you discover.